Hello, welcome to another edition of What's Next with Joey McGuire. I'm Robert Giovanetti alongside the coach. Coach, I've missed you. How have you been?
Good, man. I know it's been a while since we've done an episode.
Yeah, Matt Dowdy said he's even gotten texts going, "Hey, where's the next What's Next?"
Yeah, everybody wants to be a part of this, man.
It's a huge thing that you want to get a part of. We're shooting it. Don't know when we're posting it, but we're shooting it on a Wednesday, and it's kind of exciting because next week we get back into spring practice.
Yeah, we started. We're kind of doing it a little bit different. We always have a team competition week. We're spreading it out. We started today, or actually last night. The teams took pictures at the basketball game to kind of introduce themselves to Red Raider Nation, and then we call it the Big 12 Challenge this morning in the stadium, and it went well. We might have set a world record. Literally, to give you an idea about this, it's a plate push. So you got 25 pounds.
I saw them all out there when I walked over. Yeah.
So there's 4 of them. So you're literally, your knees can't hit the ground, and you're pushing the plates and pulling the plates with your legs, and you've got to go down, across, and back equals 1. They got to do that 10 times. We've been doing this since I've been here, and the last place team this year would have won it in 22 and 23. The first place team shattered the record. They finished the plate push in 31 minutes and 37 seconds. The closest we've had have been 38 minutes and like 15 seconds.
Goodness.
3 teams beat that. So like these guys, it's a testament to what they've been doing in the off season, the strength staff, because it has so much to do with, your core strength and your endurance, and they crushed it today. And then we continue it next week. We've got a dodgeball competition, we got some community service, and then we end it with a forging going into spring break. And then we're going to do 2 practices next week, helmets and spotters, about an hour long, and then when we come back from spring break, we'll put helmets and shoulder pads on.
How do you do that on the team competition? Do you guys nominate some captains and then try to divvy up the teams to be as equal as possible?
Yeah, so Coach Morton, he's our director of player development, and so he picks the guys, and then they have a draft. And, literally they go through each position, and the team that won it today was led by B.J. Jordan, our free safety, and man, his team crushed it. I mean, that was Jacob Ponton, Cash Cleveland, Malik, Michael Deaver, Oliver Wells, just some guys. Ansel was on that team, and they crushed it.
What's the winning team get when it's all over? They get
So they're top 3 teams. So this is like a track meet. Yeah. So you're gathering points throughout the week.
I love this. Yeah.
And the third place team might get a pullover, and the second place team is going to get like a pullover and some shorts, and then the third place team, they'll get the full pullover. They'll get shorts. They'll get shoes. And it's specifically like the way Cayman brands it all. It's for that week. So there's some stuff I don't even get.
I imagine bragging rights are pretty good too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, I sat in on one of your team meetings last week. I don't do that very often, and I love what I do. Right?
Yeah.
It's cool to be in there and hear you address the team and some of the things you could do. And you had this comment you were talking about. I can't remember, and we probably don't want to talk about the player you're talking about, but you were talking about how he got John Curry.
Yeah.
And you're like, one time.
Yeah.
John Curry does this every
day. Yeah.
And I love how you kind of established for these guys, the new guys, the returning guys, hey, we're trying to establish a standard here.
Yeah.
And guys like John Curry are examples of what that standard
He's the standard, man. John Curry. So that was Aaron Bradshaw. I love it. Like Aaron Bradshaw is our freshman free safety from North Crowley. Has had a phenomenal offseason, but one of the things we do with these young guys, we set them up with big brothers. John's not his big brother, but he's become his adopted big brother. Aaron is very serious. He wants to be really good, and so he sees a guy like John Curry, and this is the way he works. And so he's really follows him around like a puppy dog whenever they're doing stuff that he's in that same group. And just really tries to work at that level. And the thing that that a lot of people do is like, they may have this one rep that's better than this guy, but on a consistent basis, can you work to this level? That's John Curry. Like John Curry, you are going to get the same dude every single day when he steps on the turf, when he steps in the building. Like he's got such a high work ethic. Mom and dad, of course, gets it from mom and dad, but high work ethic. And then he's got a very, like we call it the quit line, to where your mind and your body's starting to say, man, this is hard. He can really push that quit line, like to where it's not there. Like he's just one of those guys that has got a high work capacity and is very serious about being good.
I remember when we used to signing day shows, we signed John Curry, and obviously his genes are good.
Yeah.
Right? His mom played here. His dad's athlete, his granddad's
a rock star. Yeah. They look so much alike too. His mom sent me a picture the other day and said, all the way down to the crooked nose.
I mean, that's pretty cool, right? So you signed this kid. I mean, he wasn't like 5-star guy.
Right.
Do you know? I mean, he's got those genes.
Yeah.
He's got the potential, but are you even sometimes surprised at how some of these guys blossom when they get here?
Well, with John, he played everything.
Right.
So our mindset was he's a great athlete. I mean, he literally could play quarterback. He punted. He played defense, and then he was a great baseball player. And so a couple of things, like he was a skinny, really good athlete. Well, I wasn't worried about him gaining weight because I was like, well, he's never been in an off season. He's never really trained the way he's about to train. I love that it would, this is his dream school. I love his story. So I expected him to be good. He's better than what I thought he would be.
Yeah. He's a badass.
He is.
Yeah.
And what I love about John is, like, John is a yes sir, no sir. I'm going to do exactly what you tell me to do, coach. But like, I remember on the sideline, him being pissed off that, man, I should be on the field. Like, this was this last year was his redshirt sophomore year. So his redshirt freshman year, like, he's, in his mind, he's like, I've ever been as good as Ben Roberts and Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah.
There's no reason that I shouldn't be on the field with those guys or rotating some with them, and he's mad about it, and never disrespectful, but like, I love that fire in you. Like, man, I'm really good. He's got a fire and he's got a chip on his shoulder, and man, what a year by that guy.
It's funny, you said something kind of interesting. I thought that we saw him, we knew he could put the weight on. You could tell by his frame he could put the weight on. When you're watching, like I saw you at the basketball game last week, and you're on the baseline with Garrett and Debbie, and you're watching the game, are you always kind of watching from a coach's I've watched you kind of notice a guy who fell on the floor in front of you, you're looking at him. Are you always kind of evaluating as a coach, or do you ever just say, I'm a fan? I know you're not a basketball coach, but are you always kind of in coach mode?
You're always in that. Like, I don't necessarily like a little bit of coach mode because I'm not a basketball guy. Don't pretend to be. But like the movement skills of people and how players lay on the floor versus getting up, and body language. You're always looking for stuff that you can use for your team. Grant does such a phenomenal job of that, of body language, of, his guys play so hard, but like just movement, like our young guard, Petty. I mean, he's got elite movement skill. Like, he'd be a great DB. Like, he honestly would probably come out here and play for us and have a chance to play in the NFL. He has that kind of movement skills. Yeah. And he's such a tough kid. So, I mean, I'm always looking at stuff like that.
You mentioned that about Grant. You and Grant do have a lot of similarities, right? You're both really nice guys, right? Great guys. But you've got a little hard ass in you, right? You're not afraid to get into people a little bit. And do you notice that about other coaches, how different? I mean, there's certainly a lot of different ways to be successful, but you guys seem to share a lot of the same qualities.
I think when we're really relationship based, we care at a really high level of our players. But I think most coaches as a whole are like ultra obsessive competitive.
Yeah.
And then I think we both like see a standard. Like I close my eyes, I know what Texas Tech football is supposed to look like. I think if Grant, he would say the same thing. I close my eyes, I know what Texas Tech basketball is supposed to look like. And so that's the standard. If it doesn't look like that, you almost come out of your skin a little bit. It's funny. I've had a lot of friends say, man, you calm down. And what's funny is the camera usually doesn't follow you to the bench.
Uh-huh. So
like my times that you may see Grant, the camera's not on me. The camera's always on me where I'm facing the field.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of that is processing the play and the stuff that we need to do. So you're not really, addressing the kids as much right there. So like most of my stuff's on the bench, but a lot of my guys, they'll be, man, you calm down. It really hasn't. It's just the camera angles are totally different than what Grant gets sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you get pretty jacked up, which I think is great, right? To watch that and see all that kind of come together. I think it's fascinating to watch that. And yeah, Grant,
mine's probably more at practice. And then into the bench, but mine's more at practice.
On the games, it's more at efficiency.
Yeah, no doubt. I try to be better and I just that's another thing, man. I think there's a standard. I think whenever a flag is thrown, that there's a standard set. I've said this to the officials. I've gone to all the meetings, with the officials and said it as a whole. Like, you got to understand, like, when a flag is thrown, you have set the standard of what that flag is going to be for the rest of the game, or it should be that way.
Right. Yeah.
So, like with me, all I want is consistency.
Just be consistent.
I will tell you this. I told Scott Draper this. I really mean this. And I told Greg, like, this, I've been in this league now for 9 full seasons. I thought the officiating was the best we've had in those 9 seasons. And I think really it has gotten better. I think a lot of it has to do with Scott and his leadership on the football side, but I think it really has been it was a good year this last year.
I don't want to be an official apologist, but I mean, the game is getting faster. The kids are stronger, bigger. It's just harder to try to officiate than it was 10 years ago.
It is, and that's why it's so important. We're going to talk about this, but I do think that the movement of the replay and expedited replay and stuff like that will come more and more into college football like it is in the NFL, and we'll keep getting better.
Yeah, I think that, but it's funny, you mentioned the practice, and I'm cognizant of that when I walk out of practice. I'm like, I'm not going to be on my phone or something, because I said, Coach McGuire sees me, he's going to he'll say something.
Hey, rip your tail.
Get off your phone or whatever. So I'm like, just stand back here, keep the phone in the pocket, pay attention to what I'm doing. And so I love that. I think it's great, that intensity, and it obviously plays out on the field. And I think it plays out watching Combine last week.
Yeah.
Hearing your guys, some of them only were here a year.
Oh, yeah.
Just talk about how much they love this place.
Yeah, but you start with Lee Hunter, man. His quote about the people in the building. We take a lot of pride in that. Like,
we should bottle that up and send that.
No doubt. But every one of them, and I was so impressed. Number one, we had really good combine out of every guy that was there. I've been texting different guys this morning. Like, I was texting Bryce Ramirez and Terrell Tillman. Charles Esther is just like checking on them. How's training going? Are you ready for? Because our pro day is March 26th. It will be packed. We'll have every team here. We have some head coaches coming. We have some GMs coming. And so, I think the guys that didn't go to the combine, like a Cole Wisniewski, who should have, they're going to dominate pro day. But it shows our guys are prepared and really ready. Jacob Rodriguez is actually going to talk to the team today in our team meeting about like what the interviews were like. Whenever, he came in, he was talking to like Sorsby and Ben Roberts and some of those guys the other day. And I was listening to him and I said, hey man, will you talk to the team on Wednesday about that? Cause it's so fresh, on his mind that he'll be able to, talk about it. But you're talking about a guy that dominated the combine too. Jacob Rodriguez had a great combine.
He's had a great offseason.
Yeah. He has. Bearing through really well. He's feeling really good. His weight's in a good spot. He put on some weight. He was 221 pounds at the combine. And so excited what they did, and then really excited to see him here in a couple of weeks. at our pro day.
Yeah, you mentioned Barron, and Barron will probably go down as, and I've been watching Tech football a long time, one of my favorite Redlanders for a lot of reasons. One, he wanted to be here. He grew up kind of a Tech kid. I don't understand how a Tech fan could not root for Barron, right? Yeah. Because he's such a good guy. Let's face it, he took some criticism.
Yeah.
And I love how resilient he is. And I was so proud to see he had a good combine.
Yeah, he really will. Like if you talk about like the numbers, Daddy can give us the numbers, but the numbers are good. Number one. Like,
yes.
I mean, he's ranks, and when you talk, it's really hard to break records at Texas Tech as a quarterback.
Absolutely. Yes.
Like there's only one dude that's ever done it that broke BJ's record.
Right.
And then whenever you talk about what Graham did and what Mahomes did, it's really hard. You got to play well, and almost out of your mind to get some of those records. And I mean, he's in the top 10, the top 5 in so many categories and wins and passing yardage and stuff like that. But the thing that we miss is his toughness of being able to play. Year 2 was a really rough year. We lose Shuck for the season in the West Virginia game, and then Barron gets hurt to play later, but has to play through some injuries. And we go 7-6. We beat Cal in the bowl game, but if Barron doesn't play, we probably have a losing record.
Yeah,
and we don't go to a bowl. So now all of a sudden, you when that happens, you set the program back, the growth back, and so that's what I appreciate. Barron so much, that he played through so much for his team, because he loved his teammates and loved this university so much.
That Cal team had a pretty good quarterback too.
They did.
Yeah.
I think he just won the Heisman.
He just won the Heisman.
He took it to us a couple times.
Yeah. He was trying to show you guys, hey, let's want to catch a pass from a Heisman Trophy winner. There it is. 2 years later, or however many years later. All right, what are we looking for next week when we start spring?
The biggest thing is developing our personality. What I mean by that is like the 25 team is that team is in the books,
yeah.
And so now you're on to the 26 team. You can't assume, because of what we did last year, we're going to do it again without putting the work in. And then you do have to start developing what our identity is going to be, as far as who's going to be the leaders, who's going to be the vocal guys on the field, just growing. We always talk about like defense. We got to learn how to hunt together. That it's just not the scheme, but how hard we're playing, the effort we're playing. So looking for stuff like that, and just kind of master the playbook, the installs that we have. We've been working at it. I think we'll have 8 football schools before spring ball starts. So we've been on the field in T-shirts and shorts and been doing different stuff, but kind of looking for that, of what kind of identity we're going to have.
You've mentioned to me before a Mike Leach clip about
literally thinking about that.
Yeah, that was last year's team.
Yeah, I'm going to play it in June. I've been waiting and saving it, but in the kind of running joke in our office, I played it for the coaches, but there's one in there that Darcel McBath made that play. You didn't make that play, Darcel. Of course, Darcel. So I always, if he's in the hallway, I'll say Darcel McBath made that play. But it is like, you can't, like, even though Ben Roberts was on that team, that was last year's team. The plays that you made were last year's plays. What are you going to do now and this year, and how you're going to grow as a player? Because he should play on Sundays. So he's got to take the next step, just like Jacob did, just like these other guys did, to prove that he can do that. And so it's, I'm going to play that clip, but it really is like, just because we won 12 games doesn't mean we're going to win 12 games again.
Yeah,
like that just doesn't happen. You got to put the work in.
Yeah, you got to do it again. It's real quick. 2 new coaches on the defensive side. Tell us a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, really fired up. One, they both come from hotbeds of recruiting, so they've got great connections. So Jock Smith, he played at South Oak Cliff, so SOC in South Dallas. He was with the Atlanta Falcons last year. I was really intrigued by him because he had 2 rookie defensive ends that just lit it up, combined 17 and a half sacks. And so the development of what he were able to do to develop those guys to bring out the best in them. Everybody I talked to, Chris Gilbert is a good friend of mine. He's at the University of Texas, but he coached him in high school. So I talked to Chris and just loved him. And so everybody I talked to, just a phenomenal guy. And Marjay Aubrey, he was with the Minnesota Vikings. One of my great friends, Mike Sarabo, he's the linebackers coach. I called him and said, hey, I'm looking for a guy. And he said, man, you need to interview Marjay. I mean, he's everything that you're all about. Sarabo and I coached at Baylor together, so he knows what's important to me. And then he's from Florida, so he's from Northwestern, and like Teddy Bridgewater was his quarterback in high school. So like just really good connections and recruiting, big relationship guys, and then the developmental piece.
Well, it's cool too. They both have that NFL experience.
It's huge. Like, because when you walk in and they're showing film, their individual tape from last year, what they're trying to get out of. They're seeing guys from the Falcons and from Minnesota. So it's, pretty easy for a player to go, okay, this is what we're trying to do, and then here's an NFL player doing it. Yeah. And so excited about both those guys. They fit in really well. We also, Mac Alexander replaced Ryan Connery as assistant special teams coordinator, and his dad and his granddad played here at Texas Tech, and so
that's a cool story. That's great.
And so another guy, like, I feel really good about the staff. You're always, it's always tough when guys move on. I was fired up for CJ. That was one of his goals, is to coach in the NFL, and so I was excited about him. But I feel like we did a really good job of replacing those guys.
All right, spring ball starts next week. Can't wait for that. I don't know if we'll have to ask Dowdy if we'll do some what's next in the next couple of weeks. But for Joe McGuire and Robert Juvenet, this has been What's Next. Wreck 'em.